Greetings and welcome back. We're out here on our land working hard to get it into tip-top shape. In the meantime, we've been experiencing a ton of wildlife. I'm an animal lover and have been since I was a little kid. I spent summers catching snakes, snapping turtles, and frogs in the creeks and lakes around my house. And I'm a super geek when it comes to reptiles. I've had pet geckos, snakes, turtles, marsupials, and more. I even bred crested geckos and leachianas for a bit. Having pet reptiles is one of the main things I miss while living in the scamp. Last week, I found a dying rattlesnake on the road. I typically don't handle venomous snakes unless there's a really good reason. A few years back, I meditated next to a wild rattlesnake while I waited for it to hopefully go back to its hole. It never did, so I transported it away from our camping area to spare its life. I have a blog post on that experience if you care to check it out. It'll be in the description. Quick disclaimer here, rattlesnakes are dangerous. We're not at all suggesting you do what we did in this video. We're going to skin and clean the rattlesnake here. I think this kind of thing is important for us to see because we've gotten squeamish and disconnected from the realities of life in modern times. In this entire process, we did our best to respect this animal and process it with reverence, a practice that has been lost near completely in our culture. We cut out the more graphic parts, but we show the majority of the process. If you wish to skip through, we will have chapters for each section of the video listed in the description. Colin and I were driving to town, and I'm always scanning the road for all kinds of critters, and I noticed a snake in the road that looked like it had maybe been hit, and I flipped around and we came back and looked at the snake. It happened to be a rattlesnake. Damn, I'm sorry, buddy. I should probably just put him out of his misery, man. And it was like writhing, almost dead, and it was really like gut-wrenching to watch it die there. But once it died, we put it in a bag, and I got mineral oil instead of glycerin because they didn't have any glycerin, and then isopropyl alcohol to mix it and preserve the skin in. And then I think we're going to try to cook it and eat it and see what that's like too. But rather than just letting it die and rot in the road, I thought this would be a more interesting and cool way to honor the snake by preserving its skin, because it's really beautiful. A bird could eat it, yeah, and so sorry birds, but this will be more long-lasting and interesting. Here we go. This is a prairie rattlesnake, and they're pretty common out here. Quick thought I find interesting about rattlesnakes. People tend to only notice the ones that rattle, and many people kill every rattlesnake they hear. Over time, this could evolutionarily select out the snakes that make their presence known, causing future rattlesnakes to forego their auditory warning signs. Long story short, in the future we could have a lot of quiet snakes that don't alert us to their presence. Also, rattlesnakes are one of the few snake species that give birth to live young, along with cobras, boas, and a few others. It's a big snake. A dead rattlesnake's fangs can still envenomate, so I removed the head first. Their fangs function as hypodermic needles connected to big venom glands at the back of their head. Venomous snakes, like the viper that this rattlesnake is, are in fact venomous, not poisonous. Snake venom must enter the bloodstream to have an effect, whereas poison, which can be found in many amphibians' skin, is toxic when ingested. Poison can also enter the bloodstream via skin in some cases, whereas venom typically cannot. There are actually people out there who ingest snake venom in hopes of inoculating their body to the venom. Once I removed the head, I began cutting down the belly. This whole process was a lot easier than I anticipated it being. I then dug a hole to bury the guts in the head. As I pulled the skin away from the meat, I was surprised by how easily it came off and how strong the skin felt. I realize this is pretty morbid, and I apologize, but we're doing our best to honor the snake because it's a beautiful thing. This is Colin. He's the man. You may recognize him from our old Mini Cooper videos. We planned to geek on car stuff when he was out here, but the rattlesnake derailed that idea. He has an automotive-oriented YouTube channel I highly recommend. He drove his Miata all the way out here to see us, which was incredibly epic.
Outside of being around you guys, where I'm kind of comfortable and out of the city, this is definitely something that I would have declined the opportunity to do before. But sometimes when the day is improvised, it's more interesting than if you have it planned.
I don't think we could have really planned this.
No, but this is a rewarding experience of sorts.
For snakeskin preserving, people tend to use a 50-50 split of alcohol and glycerin. We started with mineral oil, but the glycerin is necessary because it acts as a preservative. I'm just trying to wash the last little bit of stuff off of it, but it's really beautiful. My hand is not, sorry about it.
I've just put some, I think it's just whole wheat flour, salt, cayenne pepper. I'm going to do some garlic and then some pepper. And then I'm thinking we'll just crack an egg or two in another little plate.
We can chop it into chunks, but one thing I would recommend.
This is Tyler. He's an avid outdoorsman and awesome dude. I learned more about elk and deer from him in one day than I had in years of reading and research. One of his favorite things to do is shed hunt, and he kindly brought me along.
Blast it up on top up there.
Where were we?
We were like the top of that drainage right there.
Okay.
Sitting on the hillside. You just spotted them. Sweet, dude, good work.
Binoculars work.
They are a little choppy. It's out here for a few years.
That's crazy. Well, because it's a weird place for it, huh?
Yeah, let me get a picture.
So I've never done this, so I'm just watching. I'm sorry for my belligerence.
This should work though. Let's see, it might not.
Oh, dude, this pack was made for this. What was he doing over here?
I mean, if you dropped him right here, he's probably like both of them together like this.
Uh-huh. He's probably just laying
They
down
chill.
and stood up.
Yeah, he's probably bedded here. This is slightly north facing, and then that other hillside south facing. There's probably a bit of snow. You know, these probably dropped 3 years ago, maybe even 4. There's probably a bit of snow. That's why he's down pretty low. And just chilling right up here, just bedded down here. Probably just stood up and they both just fell right off.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That it doesn't take anything and they can just fall simultaneously.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times too, like if you, like one will fall off and then they just feel so unbalanced. They'll just stand there and move around until the next one does.
Oh, sure. God, that would be a pain in the neck to have just one.
Yeah. Man, that's all you hope for when you're shed hunting.
That is the most epic. I feel like so not worthy, you know? So how many miles have we hiked ish?
13 today.
For real?
For real, about 13.
No joking.
13, and then like
some decent elevation.
Yeah, we've climbed at least 3,500 feet. So yeah, it's been a big day. It was like 80 degrees. It's hot.
Yeah. And new area.
Brand new area. We're getting into good sign, but just like just wasn't adding up.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, it's great to end the hike on this.
This is
awesome.
insane. Yeah. And I spotted him, and I'm like, I think I got a shed. And you're like, okay, bud.
Yeah. I didn't believe you at all. But yeah, sure. I knew right away once he was pointed out to me. I was like, yeah.
And I wasn't confident until we had eyes on him.
Yeah.
So
don't get my hopes up.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Okay, I'll take my mountain man backpack now. This experience reminded me of morel hunting. The satisfaction of finding stuff like this hits me right in the caveman brain. The feeling is unrivaled. Good Lord, they're huge. Like next to your head.
This would suck.
Now back to the rattlesnake.
We can chop it into chunks, but one thing I would recommend, meat will shrink more if it's in smaller portions. Like that, those muscles will just tighten up. So it's more likely to be more tender if we leave it whole, cook it that way, and then chop it up afterwards. I think it'll cook better that way.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we want to...
We got a professional.
I know, dude. You see his camo? He knows what the hell he's talking about.
You guys did a good job cleaning it, too.
Thanks. Tried my best.
Never eaten snake before, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, neither have we. And it got hit by a car, so like some of the blood vessels were kind of ruptured. So where the blood is a little gnarly, but
Yeah, so it doesn't look too bad. It's not like bloodshot, like none of the meat's ruined from that.
Yeah.
Like we'll get it cooked nice, and from what I've read, it should get nice and flaky, like
Almost like a trout, huh?
Yeah, almost like a trout, somewhere between chicken and trout. So you should be able to then just kind of all these ribs here. Just kind of use your fork to just flake it off, like if you're eating a trout, I think.
Cool.
But cool, that's nice and dry. Getting that dry will really help the seasoning stick to it a lot better too. And then a lot of times that moisture can add to like a gamey kind of taste.
Oh, sure.
So if we get rid of that moisture, that can really help it to not taste as gamey.
We decided to fry it, and we've never really fried anything, though Tyler is an excellent wild meat chef, so we gave him the reins.
Wind's gonna blow around too.
We would have had better luck cooking it on our stove, but we did it on the fire because it felt right. If we were to do this again, we would likely wrap the snake in aluminum foil to keep the juice in like a trout.
But I think staying a little more indirect with the heat might be a little bit better now.
But I dropped it and I stepped on it.
It was pretty delicious, and I hate to use the cliche, but it tasted a lot like chicken.
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah. A bit tougher with lots of bones and the anatomy of a long trout.
Sometimes you pull too hard and then the ribs come off.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so this is like the rib meat, and then right along the spine is like a good chunk of
along the spine.
good chunk of like backstrap, essentially meat.
What a bunch of legends, right? Just out here eating rattlesnake.
Definitely pick up the next one you find.
We let the snakeskin sit in the curing solution for about 5 days, shaking it daily to remove any air bubbles and keep the solution mixed. This stick wrapping method was the most effective that I found on YouTube. I didn't want to tack the skin out on a board with little nails like people generally do, because I wanted the skin to be uniform and supple to work with. That was easy. Hopefully that works. Once we wrapped it up, we hung it in a tree for a few minutes to drip dry, then brought it inside to dry for a few days. Let it dry for a little bit and then we can bring it inside. Once all the solution had dried up, we cleaned it off with a rag. It turned out incredible. So these are the belly scales, and there's a sort of fatty membrane along the belly scales, and if you fail to remove all of the fatty membrane, then it might stink. So if you pull it out of the solution and it does smell, you want to go back through it and scrape off any of that may still be existing. But ours just smells like alcohol, which is great, and it's super supple and strong. It's pretty wild. Now we just have to figure out what we're gonna do with it. We were thinking maybe a hat band, but if you get, or also I've seen people put it on the fronts of their bows, which would be cool, but we don't have like a really nice bow to do that with. If you guys have any ideas, throw them in the comments and maybe we can do something neat with it. And here's where it was hit by the car. Once we had the snakeskin clean, I moved on to the antlers, which we'd been storing in this tree. I'm wiping the antlers down here to get the years of dirt off. These antlers have been sitting on the ground for years, right where this old bull dropped them. Mature bulls generally go off on their own to recover after the rut, and the rut is a breeding season for ruminants, including deer, sheep, goats, pronghorn, bison, and more. This guy dropped these years ago and they hadn't moved until we found them. Maybe we can actually polish them this evening when the sun goes down so I can sit in a chair.
Camp is having dinner in bed. Special guy.
So I went with Old English because people said it works great. And I didn't want it to be super shiny, or otherwise I would have gone with some kind of floor polish. We may go in and do it with a floor polish later. I just wanted to see how this turned out just with the Old English because I think it'll be kind of subtle, and I want it to look like it did when I picked it up. I don't want it to look like super pretty. The thing that differentiates antlers from horns is that antlers are shed annually, whereas horns grow continuously. It seems to be a hefty biological expense to grow antlers every year. Horns make a lot more sense from a perspective of energy conservation.
Oh, is that so good? Yeah. Good boy.
Speaking of horns, our neighbor texted me saying some bighorn sheep were climbing up the nugget. I grabbed my camera and binoculars and ran for the hills. There are bighorn sheep climbing up the hill, and I'm gonna run up there and see if I can get some footage of them. They're right up over this ledge, and I'm gonna try to get up on here so I can get a better shot on them. I'm so out of breath though. I can't hold my telephoto lens steady, and I can't move very fast. I don't want to step on a snake while I'm trying to run up there. But if I get a little bit closer, I think I can get a good shot. See if I can just set it up on the rocks here. For those curious, my camera is a Canon EOS RP, and the lens is a Sigma 150-600. I really love this kit. Bighorn sheep have horns, not antlers, so they grow continuously. The bighorn's camouflage is amazing. The only thing that gives them away is their white butts. Their ability to move around on sheer cliffs is remarkable to watch. Bighorn sheep are incredible.
He's back. He's back. Go get him. Go get him. Go.
There were 7 of them.
Oh, wow.
They're climbing up the nugget. From the scamp, this is incredible. Their horns are spectacular. Speaking of horns, we recently found a horned lizard on our bike ride. They're also commonly referred to as horny toads, which is taxonomically incorrect. These are one of the cutest species of lizards in the world, in my opinion. They primarily eat ants, and some of them will squirt blood out of their eyes when threatened. Look at that little dinosaur. This is one of the chonkiest ones I've ever found, and I think it may have been a gravid female. Thank you for joining us on these animal-filled adventures. Hopefully you all dig this kind of stuff, and we can make more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day. Wagon.
We got a wagon.
Up in there, give her a go.
This is rated for how many pounds?
I think it was like 400 or 600, something like that. Yeah, 600. So it should hold you.
I hope so. Okay. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, move your butt forward, crazy.
Yay, it's working. I just can't sit back too far.